Imagine you're a bored Spanish governor in Cuba, and you hear rumors of a golden city just over there. You send a lawyer to check it out. What'd go wrong? First, let's set the stage. Here's the world our story unfolds in, around 1519, with Tenochtitlan right at the heart of it. On April 22nd, 1519, Hernán Cortés, lawyer-turned-conquistador, wades ashore near modern Veracruz with 600 men, 16 horses, and 10 cannons. He's not here for legal advice. Cortés immediately founds Villa Rica de la Veracruz, rich town of the True Cross, because nothing says piety like naming a town after loot. Local Totonac chiefs arrive, curious about the strange pale men. Cortés greets them with a smile, a handshake, and a burning ambition to topple an empire. Cortés strolls into Simpola like he owns the place, which he absolutely does not. The Totonac chief eyes him, another tribute collector, but this one has boats. The chief complains about Aztec tax collectors. They take our gold, our food, our daughters. Cortés leans in, say no more. I hate those guys. Cortés proposes an alliance. We'll protect you from the Aztecs. Just help us find more gold. The chief shrugs, better the devil you don't know. To seal the deal, Cortés smashes the Aztec tax collectors' idols. The Totonacs gasp, then cheer. The tax collectors flee, screaming about cultural insensitivity. Cortés gathers his men on the beach. We're not here to explore. We're here to conquer. No turning back. The soldiers murmur, glancing at the ships. Men grab axes and crowbars. They smash holes in the hulls, water gushing in. Cortés watches, stone-faced. Now we win or die trying. One by one, the ships groan and sink into the shallows. A soldier cries, we're stranded. Cortés grins. No, we're committed. The last mast disappears beneath the waves. Cortés turns inland. Mexico City awaits, gentlemen. Let's go take it. The men cheer for lack of a boat. Now the big move, the road from Veracruz to Tenochtitlan. The Tlaxcalans, however, are not big fans of uninvited guests. They ambush Cortés's army, and the Spanish find themselves surrounded by screaming warriors. The Spanish cavalry charges. Horses are terrifying creatures the Tlaxcalans have never seen. The warriors scatter like startled quail. After several bloody clashes, the Tlaxcalan elders hold a war council. Itzcoatl the Younger wants to fight to the death, but his father, Moctezuma, has a better idea. Let's join them. Cortés and his Tlaxcalan buddies roll in a Cholula like they're here for a festival. The city's nobles greet them with suspicious smiles. But Malintzin hears whispers. The Colulans plan to ambush the Spanish once they're inside. She tells Cortés, who goes from fiesta mode to fury mode instantly. Cortés summons the Colulan nobles to the courtyard for a friendly meeting. They arrive in their finest robes, expecting a feast. Instead, they get a massacre. Cortés gives the signal. Spanish crossbows and Tlaxcalan clubs turn the courtyard into a horror show. Thousands of unarmed nobles fall. Cholula will never trust a friendly visit again. November 8th, 1519. Moctezuma II, Emperor of the Aztec Triple Alliance, strides out onto the causeway to greet his returning god, or at least a very pushy tourist. Cortés dismounts and steps forward, helmet in hand, wearing his best "I'm totally a god" face. Moctezuma greets him with a speech about prophecy and destiny. Moctezuma presents Cortés with lavish gifts, gold, silver, feathered shields, hoping to satisfy his appetite. Cortés accepts with a grin that says, "This is just the appetizer." And here's Tenochtitlan up close, where our story really plays out. Moctezuma escorts the Spanish into the heart of Tenochtitlan, a gleaming island city of canals, temples, and floating gardens. Cortés can barely contain his "I want it" face. November 14th, 1519. Cortés decides that diplomacy is overrated. He marches a squad of armored goons straight into Moctezuma's palace. Cortés accuses Moctezuma of plotting against him, a total bluff, but he says it with such confidence you'd think he had evidence. Moctezuma, ever the gracious host, agrees to come quietly to avoid bloodshed. He's basically a hostage with a velvet rope. And just like that, Cortés rules the Aztec Empire through a puppet emperor. The Spanish have the ultimate Airbnb, the royal palace, with the king as your butler. April 1520. Governor Velázquez is furious. He sent Cortés to explore, not to conquer an empire. So he dispatches Pánfilo de Narváez with 1,400 men to arrest the upstart. Narváez's fleet appears off Veracruz like an unwelcome party crasher. 1,400 soldiers, 80 horses, and a whole lot of "we're here to ruin Cortés's day." Narváez's troops disembark, stretching their legs and flexing their muscles. They're cocky. After all, they outnumber Cortés's men nearly 3-1. Narváez sets up camp near Veracruz and sends messengers to Cortés. Surrender now, or we'll take you by force. He expects Cortés to tremble. Spoiler: Cortés does not tremble. Cortés gets the news. Narváez is at Simpola with 1,400 men. He doesn't panic. He packs a speech and a plan. He leaves Pedro de Alvarado in charge of Tenochtitlan with a simple order: don't do anything stupid. Alvarado nods. Spoiler: he will. Cortés marches to Simpola with 266 Spaniards and thousands of Tlaxcalans. Narváez's army is bigger, but they're also not expecting a night raid. May 28, 1520. Cortés attacks at midnight, shouting "Santiago!" Narváez's men wake up to swords, torches, and a very angry conquistador with a grudge. May 20th, 1520. Tenochtitlan's finest nobles dance in the temple courtyard, unarmed and unsuspecting. Pedro de Alvarado watches from the shadows, tapping his sword impatiently. Alvarado gives the signal. Spanish soldiers burst into the courtyard, swords drawn, and the music of flutes is replaced by the sound of steel meeting flesh. Nobles try to flee, but the gates are blocked. Unarmed and trapped, they fall in droves. The courtyard turns slick with blood as the Spanish show no mercy. Within hours, hundreds of unarmed Aztec nobles lie dead. Alvarado wipes his blade and declares victory. He has just ignited a powder keg that will blow the Spanish occupation apart. June 29th, 1520. Moctezuma, still a hostage, is dragged onto the palace roof by Cortés. "Tell them to stop," he pleads. Moctezuma steps forward, arms outstretched, speaking peace. The crowds reply. A hailstorm of stones. No one's in the mood for diplomacy. A stone strikes Moctezuma's temple. He crumples, bleeding. The emperor who tried to bridge two worlds falls under his own people's wrath. Moctezuma dies hours later. Cortés blames the Aztecs. His own people killed him, conveniently forgetting he was the one who put him on that roof. June 30th, 1520. Under cover of darkness, Cortés's bedraggled army tiptoes across the Tlacopan causeway, gold clanking in their packs. Sneak level, maximum. But an Aztec woman fetching water spots them and screams. The sneak plan evaporates faster than morning dew on a hot griddle. Aztec war canoes swarm the causeway like piranhas at a feeding frenzy. Arrows rain down, and the night becomes a screaming free-for-all. Hundreds of Spaniards and Tlaxcalans tumble into the lake, weighed down by gold. The water turns into a very expensive, very bloody swimming pool. July 7th, 1520. Cortés's battered army limps across the plains of Otumba, half-starved and outnumbered 100-1. They're not winning this, they're surviving. The Aztec commander, Itzcoatl, waves his standard high, a golden net on a pole. His troops roar. Cortés knows. Kill that man, break that banner, or die. Cortés charges with his cavalry, a tiny wedge of steel and horseflesh. The Aztec ranks buckle. Cortés spots the commander and spurs straight for him, lance leveled. Cortés's lance takes the commander in the chest. The golden net falls. The Aztec army freezes, then breaks. Cortés has snatched victory from the jaws of a massacre. Again, in late 1520, a new and invisible enemy arrives in Tenochtitlan, Smallpox, courtesy of Narváez's expedition. It doesn't ask for tribute. The disease spreads like gossip at a market, fast, relentless, and nobody can stop it. Aztecs fall by the hundreds, their immune systems utterly unprepared. Among the dead, Cuauhtémoc, the new emperor who rallied the Aztecs after Moctezuma's fall. His reign lasts just 80 days, shorter than a summer fling. With their leader gone and a third of the city sick, Aztec resistance crumbles. The empire that once ruled Mesoamerica now can't even rule a fever. Cortés, furious at his last defeat, decides the only way to take Tenochtitlan is by water. So he builds a navy in a swamp with no shipyard. 13 brigantines, complete with cannons, are dragged over the mountains to Lake Texcoco. The Aztecs watch, confused. Are they moving boats? On May 22nd, 1521, the brigantines hit the lake. Cannons roar, and the first volley smashes into Tenochtitlan's canals like a door kick. Cortés cuts the city's aqueduct from Chapultepec. No fresh water. Tenochtitlan, once an island paradise, becomes a thirsty trap. August 13th, 1521. After 93 days of hell, Cuauhtémoc decides the lake is safer than the city. Spoiler, it's not. A Spanish brigantine spots them. Cortés's men swarm the canoe like seagulls on a dropped taco. Cuauhtémoc is hauled aboard, dripping and defeated. He asks to be killed. Cortés, ever the showman, says no, he's too valuable alive. News spreads. The emperor is captured. Aztec resistance collapses like a souffle in an earthquake. Tenochtitlan has fallen. The city that once held 200,000 people is now a smoking graveyard. Cortés strolls through the ruins, stepping over broken pottery and Aztec dreams. Cortés orders a cross raised in the main plaza. The Spanish soldiers cheer, while Aztec survivors stare in hollow disbelief. Their gods have been replaced. Tens of thousands lie dead from war, smallpox, and starvation. The city's canals run red, and the smell of death hangs like a thick blanket. Cortés claims the ruined city for Spain, renaming it Mexico City. The Aztec Empire is no more, just a footnote in a Spanish history book. Cortés, convinced there's a mountain of gold hidden somewhere, decides to get creative with questioning. Cuauhtémoc and the Lord of Tacuba are tied to a post, their feet slathered in oil. This is about to get toasty. Fire meets flesh. Cuauhtémoc's feet sizzle, but he clenches his jaw and says nothing. The Lord of Tacuba whimpers. Hours later, Cortés gets nothing. Cuauhtémoc's silence is louder than any confession. The gold stays hidden.